Reed's Learning Street, where knowledge is power and wisdom is key. Unlearn to relearn, that's what we do. Youth voices, elder voices, community matters, we bring them to the forefront. Education in our own way, without the system telling us how to do it today. Gratitude for giving us your opportunity. Grand evening, peace, love, light, and laughter. Thank you to anyone and everyone that joins us this grand day, grand rising, grand evening. We have a guest to join us that I'm excited to bring to the table with an entire lecture. And guess who is here? Juma is here. Let's see. Welcome to the platform. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Peace, 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 peace and light.
Peace and love. How you doing, sister?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. Just working, working and working.
Oh, well, that's better than not. That's better than not. So I appreciate you for coming this evening to join us to give us some information on Juma or on your endeavors, I should say. If you would just gratefully or graciously let me just bow out and let you introduce yourself and let you speak to everyone and let them know what's going on.
Okay. For everybody that doesn't know me, my name is the Juma, or you can call me JooJoo for short. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at the Juma 1372. That's my Instagram. And here to tell you about the new character, the Juma. So one thing, one thing I want to say about the Juma is that for those that are familiar with dark superheroes such as Blade, Spawn, and there's a few more like Evil Ernia. So the thing is, I'm bringing to you is the melanated man of darkness, retelling that story with a sense of nobility. Any questions, sister? Okay.
My apologies, I was on mute, didn't know that. So currently not yet. Now I do have your um, Instagram page pulled up to show some of the images, if that's possible,
Come on with it.
in case anybody does want to come and look at these images, or because this is some great artwork here. Now, do you want to go through
And
and
there go the main
explain?
character.
Yep, there we go. Okay.
A 3D print model, STL file. I've been thinking about people wanting to. I'm thinking about printing statues, as I mentioned earlier on my Instagram. If people want them, I'm still in debate about it. I got to get enough people because that's a lot of material.
Okay.
And one thing, as you'll see with this set right here, if you look at his right arm and his left arm, he has more of an armor setting. It was the beginning because he's keeping his venom from leaking out of his body. And for anybody that wants to know that, you'll have to look at the page and look at his abilities. He has venomous fangs and claws. So he's very potent as a venom due to the Dambala DNA within his body, the serpent, voodoo serpent god. Any questions?
Oh, wow. I'm with you so far. With you so far. Okay, so
Well,
the image
I
that's
would
on
like to say
his,
also, if I can,
yes, go ahead.
Juma started off as an idea in the back of my head because I wanted to bring a superhero, but I wanted to bring something more darker and interesting. And I didn't want to bring just capes and tights, the underwears, the regular suits, or the regular sense of justice, of light nobility, because some of us believe, or some of us know that sometimes the superhero side seems the side that we're actually against, if people catch my meaning. So what I wanted to do is give everybody somewhat of our history back. So what I did was I liked the story of I like hearing about the Moors. To me that's one of the greatest superpowers that we had. And one thing about it, when it comes to it, I wanted to just give us a story that instead of just something being outside of us, or not looking at the right skin complexion. And some of us don't feel anything, and the reason why I say that is also because when I was a child, I remember growing up looking at Batman, Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles, and I remember moving to what was known as Kalkaska, Michigan, and this is when I actually felt where I was black. I felt a little bit of racism, so I didn't want to watch white superheroes anymore for that particular reason. And then I got caught on to Blade and Spawn, and that made me feel more greater again, as in looking at superheroes. So I got picky over the years. But Juma is really a combination of characters like Blade and Spawn, inspiration. And one thing I would like to tell people is that he wasn't always a vampire. The story of Juma goes back to the 1700s in a place I call Sugarville, Texas, which under the name Zotz, he was born under April 5th, 1990, under a full moon. And April 5th, 1990 represents my birthday because, like I said, Juma was a hero I came up with. I couldn't think of any more else to do. I couldn't think of no superhero name. Juma just sounded different. And for those who want to know what Juma is, Juma, you have Al Juma, that is Friday, like today, and also you have what's called the Jinn. So it's another representation of Juma is the Jinn of Friday, or the son of Set. The story of Juma starts as Maurizio Solomon Bay, born with the ability of bat manipulation from his mother. His mother was a South American Negro. His father was a Moroccan, a Berber from Morocco, on land, which was Sugarville. But Juma, at that time, he didn't know, nor did his mother. So he had what we call Caucasians run the plantation for him. And as they were running the plantation for him, they would you do what you would call, let's say, sell the women, as we want to call it. And as that was going on, his father was profiting, but he fell for the South American Negro woman and had a child, but he never knew because he went back to Morocco. And when this child was born, he was born special with the ability, as I said before, bat manipulation. So he was raised as a slave. And when he was raised as a slave, he doesn't know any much about it. He just knows that he's attracted to the night. So people look at him weird, even other Negroes that slaves on the plantation, or prisoners of war, whatever you would like to call them. Um, what it was really about, his grandfather had a dream on his father's side that he had a grandson over here, and went to what we would call Oracle, the lady with the crystal ball in Morocco, and she told him that he had a kin in the West that was in indentured servitude. So as that was going on, he got angry and he went to go find his father. Now his father's name is Mauricie, King Mauricie the second, or Mauricie Solomon Bey. The grandfather name is Maurizio Solomon Bey the second. So the name there, as you see, has some royalty to it. And main thing I wanted to show people is that in this film is that when you fall, you always rise back. So when it comes down to it, Maurizio had the second had got on the boat with his son and was in shame that he left his son into slavery. But once again, they didn't know, but they were forbidden to lay down with Negroes. And I know what people are thinking. Well, aren't both sides melanated? Yes, but the story was based off of the people in the West. They look those that were enslaved or indentured servitude were looked at as a curse. So whoever lays down with them will suffer some type of curse. And you finna see what I'm getting ready to go into. So
Okay.
due to this, they go and they get on the boat and they sail to Texas, Sugarville, and they meet what's called his father, his son. And the son doesn't know his father nor his grandfather. And as you all see right here, this is Maurizio. Thank you. And this is Maurizio as a full mature adult. And one thing about it is that I wanted to tie this in the dark man of the soul, the darkness, as I call it, the jinn, the al ghul, which is the vampiric word, ancient vampiric word, as you want to say. The al ghul are the vampiric tribe of jinn. So that means that all jinn are not vampires. But back to it, as he was getting older, he had been transported back into Morocco to train. The grandfather didn't want King Maurice II to raise his own son because he felt he was irresponsible and he didn't like his democratic ways, or as we call them, he didn't like how he worked with the white man. Maurizio Solomon Bey II didn't like his grandchild's name, which was Zatz, but he knew what it stood for, as in Camazotz, the bad god of the underworld. And the mother wept along with his half siblings. He had two half siblings at this time. The first half sibling was named Abe, which is his werewolf brother. His mother was raped by a werewolf trying to escape the plantation. But we'll get down to that. This is about Juma. So when Juma leaves, he learns martial arts, studies, learns how to read and write different languages, Arabic, of course, French, European, different languages. Asia, he sailed, trained with the monks, learned Qigong, ninjutsu, kung fu. And the main thing he kept in his heart was to free his mother and his siblings. So as a child, he never lost sight of that. He never wanted to become king of Morocco. Let's just say that Draconia. That is the name of the land, Draconia, Morocco. And one thing I wanted this to be known was that the Draconia was representing us being the Draconians, and was the purple dragon. Purple representing nobility, oil, also representing the purple chakra, which is the crown chakra. So the main mission was that's how I came up with the colors purple. But in this story, the grandfather didn't want Juma or Maurizio raised Islamic. Islamic was more of a dayside religion, where his father took it more seriously, but the grandfather didn't as much. He knew there was a bigger truth. And what it was, he was studying under the religion or the cult of Set or the Typhonian orders. So he was teaching Maurizio the third, the occult. And Maurizio got initiated into the order of Set. And if any, for those who know, Set represents the god of chaos, but Set is one of the oldest gods, for those that don't know that. And the thing was, it also represents chaos. So Maurizio Juma takes on the identity of Set growing up, losing sight, not just sight of love, but he had other siblings too on his father's side, but they didn't get along because they looked at him as a slave. As I said earlier, those that mate with those in the West that were in indentured servitude, prisoners of war, were looked at as cursed. So they treated him badly. So he didn't want to be around them anyway. And after he trained so hard over the years, He now from a 9-year old to a 21-year old. He comes back to Draconia, Morocco. His father is getting older now, and he wants Maurizio to rule or become the king of Draconia. Maurizio doesn't want to do it. He just wants to be an assassin and just go fight and free his family, but he can't let his father know that. So the father, King Maurice, wanted Maurizio and the Berbers to, and this is in the year 1764. I apologize not to get anybody mixed up, but this is the year they wants them to go there collect taxes from what we call, or I call, the Patriots of the Pale, which it was a picture recently that was just shown, which was looked like the founding fathers, but actually are the Patriots of the Pale. Now, as Maurizio sails, not even, excuse me, as Maurizio sails back to talk to his father, his older brother, Maurice the third, is actually angry. I'm sorry, Maurice the second is actually angry because Maurizio doesn't want to accept the title of King Morocco or King of Draconia. So, long story short, on that part, they end up getting into an argument, and Maurice the second, the eldest brother, the eldest, he called his mother a slave. And Maurizio said, "If you call my mother a slave again, I will cut your tongue out and feed it to the dogs." What happened was this started a war, and when this started a war between two brothers, they wanted to fight for the crown. Maurice wore the suit of Ra, the armor of Ra. Juma Maurizio wore the armor of Set. Many people in the courtyard laughed at his image because he wore the image of Set, but Maurizio ignored it. And when he ignored it, he kept he kept just staying to himself and was ready to fight. And one thing about the fight, to sum it up, he ends up winning by cutting his brother's ear off, or AKA committing a heinous act. And when he cut his ear off, the people looked down at him as evil. They start calling off to him Juma al Ghul. They kept repeating it, and he didn't understand it, but it was actually a kind of form of looking at it, being looked at as a demon. And his grandfather tells him, "We must go because now you are looked at as demonized." His grandfather hates that he's looked at as demonized and tells him the only way to rise back into kingdom is to go through the ritual of the 72 steps of Set. Maurizio agrees and he takes the ritual of 72 steps of Set. It took him 72 hours to complete this ritual. And no, you only people that have to go through this ritual are those who commit heinous acts against their loved ones or against their people. So as this was going on, he had to learn. When he reached the top of the steps, he met Set at the end, and Set gave him his willpower, or another word for luck. So now he blessed him with that, the god Set, or the spirit of Set. But what Maurizio didn't know is that while he was in this cave doing this ritual, he has met a demon or a vampiric demon that you can find under the Goetia or the clip off as Gamaliel. And Gamaliel tells him, "You are now been initiated into my group and you will become one of us." He does not know this is a vampiric spirit because what it is, even though he's initiated, he's just not focused. He doesn't just believe that quickly. He has to go through some things to understand. So even though he sees this spirit, it freaks him out a little bit, but now he's still focused on getting to America. So his grandfather and his people cheered that he completed the 72 steps of Set and they were on their way to America. Their father commissioned them a travel agent for they can report back what's going on. Maurizio, as they get close to the Americas, he blows out the brains of this guide, travel guide, and throws his body in the water. They didn't go over for collecting taxes. They went over to free the people. And some people think, well, what about his grandfather? Wouldn't his grandfather have a different opinion? No, because his grandfather knew that was in his heart. And his grandfather was the type to tell him, in order to become to free the people, you're going to have to get some type of royalty. So he was willing, and I was willing as well. I mean, I'm sorry, not I. Maurizio was willing as well to actually do this. And so as this was going on, people, they made it to New Orleans. And when they was in New Orleans, they got into fights at these New Orleans pubs, not knowing they get by some strange beings. So he runs to a plantation. They see slaves, and what happens is when they see slaves, they begin to fight and kill off the slave owners and the slave guards, not knowing that there was a voodoo queen that went by the name Marie LaRue that ends up being Maurizio's first wife. And she was able to summon the dead. Now, as you all recall, when I said Maurizio was born with bat manipulation, when he left the Americas, he lost that ability. But when he came back to the Americas, he gained that ability back. So as it got towards night, he was able to use it. And back to the voodoo queen, Marie LaRue, and the children of Dambala, her voodoo tribe, they were able to raise the dead. Necromancy. So now we have a soldier that's using bat manipulation with martial arts and sword fighting, and you have what's a voodoo queen that's using voodoo magic along with her tribe and they're fighting. Maurizio catches Marie and saves her from being killed, and they run off into the woods. And if anybody wants to know, I'm just shortening it up to get to the points. Also, what's going on here now is that now that Maurizio has met a new person, a new ally, she wants her people to be free, but he's looking to get to Texas. And as he gets to Texas, and as before he can get to Texas, he has to free her people, but he needs her help due to she has magic. And she wants his help due to he knows a bit of magic. She never seen nobody control bats before. As they make it back to the plantation, the people are free that was on the New Orleans plantation, and Maurizio is searching for his grandfather. His grandfather is back on the ship dying of war wounds. And he's telling him that he's left him a special suit of armor that will give him more agile and is blessed with he blessed it with Seth magic to be protected. And the armor is called the armor of the Murcielago, which is Murcielago is the Spanish word for bat. So now Maurizio is now getting ready to become Murcielago the Moor. Before he is, I like to say this, before he was Blackula, he was Batman. That's just my little saying for that. And you'll see why I say that. So now, riding the short clock up, Marie, her people, the children of Dembala, Jun, and his Berber men are now fighting plantations to get to Texas. And as they reach Texas, they finally reach Sugarville. And now Maurizio defeats his old owner, and now he's looking for his siblings. He's found his one of his siblings, which is the older daughter Isabella, not the older than he is, his younger sister Isabella, but he couldn't find his brother Abe, and he's told Abe ran off in the woods. Now, as he reaches his mother now elderly woman, dying on her deathbed, she sees him for the first time. She knows that it's him, and she says on her last few words, "Zatz," and sheds a tear, and she passes. So Maurizio never got to see his mother. or rekindle the relationship with his mother. And he grows angry and he starts burning more, killing more what you would call Caucasians in that area and making the area now more black owned, as we want to call it. 12 years later, Maurizio ended up having children with Marie LaRue. They got married. And Maurizio learns a special gift that Marie had to do. He said, Marie, I have to become something powerful in order to free the people. So Marie came up with a spell due to she knew that Maurizio was tied to night gods, which were set in the Camazotz, bat god or the underworld, which were night gods. She used these two gods within a ritual of Dambalot and give him the strength, but it requires a spirit animal. And Maurizio's spirit animal is the bat. So with Maurizio's spirit animal being the bat, he gets the powers of the bat, but they're temporarily, and he has to do the ritual every other 72 hours in order to keep it going, or he would be drained. And as this going on, as you see right there, the 72 is very important. And when as I said before, the 72 steps of set, the 72 hours. Also, usually it takes 72 hours. Usually, as they say, 72 days to cell transformation. That's one of the old sayings. If you remember Osiris, it took him 72 days. I mean, 72 hours to resurrect, which is so. Maurizio now, or Murcielago the Moor, is raiding through plantations, building a name for himself. And the patriots of the Pale, they began to hear about him. And now he's become a well-known slave rebeller, as you, if you want to call it that, freeing the slaves. These people get word of this, the patriots of the Pale, and their leader, which is a scientist, goes by the name of Dr. Monroe, which is actually an albinoid, self-hated Negro, or you want to call House Negro, Uncle Tom Coon, whatever your definition is. And this is, as I was telling the sister that's interviewing me, that this is about field Negroes versus house Negroes kind of way. I didn't really want to add many Caucasians to the story because I'm trying to keep it between the melanated people. Now, as back to it, what happened was Maurizio starts to get become corrupted with these new abilities. And with these new abilities, he's now starting to not just sacrifice the slave owners, or what you want to call them, the Caucasoids, Caucasians. He's now starting to trap house Negroes. And Maurizio is not religious, so I want people to imagine that if you can imagine that the Negroes at that time believing in Jesus, he would impale them or behead them. He didn't want that religion anymore on that land. His wife started to see him become more corrupt, and she said, "See, you're becoming a monster." And he doesn't really like it that his wife's seeing this, and his children start to see this a little bit. And now he begins to start taking his murderous ways else places. So he ended up going into Mississippi after he finds a deed that's entitled to him, Mudland, Mississippi, and him and the Berbers, his Berber men, they go down there and they meet some of the most racist people. And they're heading to a carnival to meet a slave owner by the name of Leonard Tate. Now, Leonard Tate owns Mudland, Mississippi, and Juma or Maurizio at this time has to get him to sign the paper deed over to get the property. So he has to go to a carnival because Leonard Tate is a carnival show carnivalist. He has what you call the strongest men, and this is where Maurizio meets a man by the name of Clint Kleiman. Clint Kleiman is a slave, or one of the strongest slaves on the plantation. He's a man, what you call a Mandingo. And being a Mandingo wrestler, what his main idea was to win fights that way he can gain favor. with his slave master, but he also had to beat another slave master. So Maurizio coming into town is bidding on Clint Kleiman, and you have Dr. Monroe who's coming to town bidding on the guy Clint Kleiman is getting ready to fight, which is named Bo Williams. And for those who want to know Dr. Monroe is secretly a vampiric alien who come from the planet Sirius B and has come here to take slaves and turn them into what we call super soldiers or mutants with the DNAs of gods and monsters. And as now Clint Kleiman wins the fight, Maurizio gets the money and he ends up killing Leonard Tate to get the property. But they stay the night at the carnival. Maurizio meets a woman and she goes by the name of Lamia Monroe. Lamia Monroe is the adopted daughter of Dr. Monroe. Invites Maurizio into her cabin. Long story short, she bites him on the neck, and leaves him half passed out for 2 days. What Lamia Monroe has realized within his blood, Maurizio has a rare blood type going back to the ancient group of draconian Moors that were vampires, but unbeknownst to him. She tasted it. Now she wants him to be her consort, her king, her vampiric king. And 2 days later, Maurizio wakes up. That's how powerful her bite was. He wakes up at the carnival and has gotten a letter that his father knows what he's been doing for the last 12 years. And he knows that he's made it with other people, other slaves. So now Maurizio races back in daylight, and it's been, like I said, 2 days later, so he's losing his powers. And he has to rush to get back. By the time he gets back to his family, he father uses some type of sun magic to slow down his dark abilities. He couldn't believe that his son had started doing dark magic. And what Maurizio didn't know that his older brother, who was missing his left ear now, Mauricio has been spying on him for the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years. And within the last 2 or 3 years, that he noticed that he was mating, he had children, he has broken laws. So he goes back and he reports this to his father, along with the Patriots of the Pale. And along with the Patriots of the Pale, what they did was they killed his Berber men. Maurizio's father and his two of his older brothers burnt his children alive and only left his youngest daughter Maru alive. And if anybody clicks on this page and you all read these story samples, it'll give you a lot of what I'm telling you as well, if those that go to it. And one thing I would love to say about this is that I was keeping it more indigenous and Moorish. So between the ancient Atlanteans and Lemurians, the descendants of these people. But back to it. So as Maurizio only has one child now living, his youngest daughter Maru and his wife Marie, they get captured and sold off to Dr. Monroe. Dr. Monroe has a base of operations, underground base of operations in New Orleans called the House of Enlil. And as he has the House of Enlil, this is where he creates his experiments. So, for instance, I give you an example. Let's say the Caucasians that are loyal to him, they become what you call pale parasites. The house Negroes that are loyal to him, they become what you call the Vorex or black-skinned reptilians. They those that he saw fighting potential in, he turned them into super soldiers, or the word I like to call Cause some people say metahumans, Marvel says mutants. I like to call them the prodigies. So Juma or Maurizio doesn't know just yet that he's been selected to become a prodigy, a vampire prodigy at that. Now, if you all remember, I spoke on Clint Kleiman and Lamia Monroe. Lamia is happy to see Maurizio has made it to the plantation. His wife Marie is a little confused. Long story short, Marie catches on what happens and she looks down at Maurizio for a bit and she's taken away from Maurizio along with their child. Maurizio now is in his cell to himself and Lamia likes to come to his cell and have her way with him. It, so, with that being said, or seduce him, and he can't help it because some part of him is interested as he keeps trying to fight away and knows that she's some kind of demon, but she tells him she's a vampire or a succubi, prodigy. He doesn't believe in it until she shows him his true form. She tells him, in order to free your family and get revenge on your father you had to become a prodigy and accept my father's experiment. Long story short, Maurizio thinks about it. He agrees to go. The experiment is called the Vampire Prodigy, and it consists of three DNAs based off of these two gods and goddesses. You have the Akaru, the DNA of Dambala, and the DNA of Draco, which is an ancient god or goddess that was worshipped by the ancient Berbers. And to know a little bit about that, get the book, The Draconian Cults of Chem. With that being now notified, I would like to also state that once these DNAs were injected into him, he fell into a cocoon state for 72 hours. Within these 72 hours, he's now on the other side of the world realm, the death realm, the clip off, trying as a ghoul, trying to get find his way to the ninth sphere or the ninth realm of Gamaliel. And to understand a little bit more about Gamaliel and the ninth sphere, get the book Goetia or Goetic Magic. And one thing I really love to tell people is that when you study the gods, some people will probably say that Juma is a little bit overpowered. And I tell people, well, Superman's overpowered. And nobody said nothing about that. And so what I did, I came up with a fight. I'm writing a fight now that I'm getting ready to do a 3D animation about later towards the spring. It's about Superman versus the Juma, aka the Man of Steel versus the Moor of Darkness. And as the lady just showed, the Black Vampire of Saint Domingo, that's actually a great book too. But back to it, my main mission was to combine gods and make us titans again. For y'all who knows the story of the Titans, where you have Maurizio having the vampiric titan Akaru, Draco is a titan, Dambala is a god. So this is how he get his powers. Within the 72 hours of resurrecting, this is how he becomes the vampire prodigy, Juma. Before I continue, is there any questions? Sister, you got any questions you want to ask? Or anybody? Okay. Well, as now I can continue, I would like to say, going back into the store
My
now,
apologies. Can you hear me?
Maurizio. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You have any
Okay. So I
questions?
have a yes. Uh, the characters that you're mentioning, they all sound familiar
All
or
right. Well,
like
I keep going. So, one thing I
deja
want to
vu.
say is that when Maurizio now has his powers, he doesn't realize the people he's drinking
Does my sound
or draining life force
hear
from
me?
is his wife. in her tribe. She put her bag over her head and made herself a sacrifice to keep Maurizio with a human heart as he's getting ready to become one of the undead. And as he becomes one of the undead, he still has a sense of human feeling. So he takes his daughter and he flies her to the north, where let's just say where the free blacks are, and lays her on a family doorstep and flies off because he can't have her anymore because now he's what you would call a vampire. He flies to Draconia to fight his father. He kills his father's men, and his two brothers. But before he killed his father placed a curse on him, saying that he was ashamed of what he'd become, and he could not let the rest of Africa see him. So what Maurizio's father did was trapped Maurizio between Morocco and Mauritania, aka representing the old maps where it says the Negro land. So what I wanted to do was he can go anywhere else but except, let's just give examples, South Africa, East Africa, uh, let's say a little bit of Central, certain parts. If he goes into, let's just go into Egypt, his skin will start to burn. He's cursed. So he can only stay within the West. He can go to Europe, but he can never go to the other side of Africa. It was also just given a representation of Juma being part of Africa and part of America. And the main thing was he takes over the castle and Lamia comes and finds him and they make a vow to get revenge on Dr. Monroe and others. Juma gets enlisted into the government now due to he's a super soldier and now he's fighting wars, hidden wars that they kept out of history. It was just that's part of what I was going with. And all the wars you could think of in America from 1776 to 1946 is all the wars he fought in. And the reason why I say to 1946 is because a group that's called the Guardians of the Black, which imagine the Justice League but black, but with powers, framed
Can you hear
Juma and
me?
his team trying to kill the president at that time, and they get locked on the island for 76 years called the Island of Dr. Monroe. And
Okay.
with being on this island of Dr. Monroe, Juma's facial appearance has taken change over the years. When he became a vampire, his eyes went from brown to purple, permanent purple. But once he gets angry, his eyes go red. He wore a mask during war. And if you go on my page, you'll see where there's certain outfits Juma has with a mask on that he wore that was representing him going into war. I can tell you scroll up more. And one thing about it that what he was doing, he was making a name for himself. You can click on the purple picture right there with the straps. Not that one. I'm sorry. The one he got the turban on. I apologize. But that is another alternate suit, but that's in the future for Tiamat universe. The one with the purple straps above it. There you go. And this is one of the suits he wore doing this. This is one of his I call World War suits. And Juma start the word purple. Originally he wore black and red, but then he got it to purple, representing the nobility that's within his heart and the royalness. And if you click on the next picture, he wears a mask. It's above that picture, and he has what you straight scroll up for me. I want to say keep scrolling up. There you go. Picture right there with the orange on. Scroll down one more time. Down, either to the left or the right. There you go. That's one picture with the white mask. There you go. This right here is one of the World War suits, I call it. Suits he wore in World Wars. And what it was, as you see the bat resemblance in the mask. That's the type of mask he wore, representing his nature, vampiric nature, because he was able to control bats. And one thing I want to tell people about when you read about certain vampires in my story, all of them don't control bats. All of them don't turn into wolves. Some turn into giant lizards, cats. Let's see, owls, eagles, birds. Another World War suit. And the main thing was I wanted to do for people was bring something a little bit different, showing representing us being into the wars as super soldiers, not just regular humans. So these groups of slaves that would live over, some were 400 to 600 years old, like Lamia being the first subject or the first black queen vampire. And one thing, shout out to the sisters though, because they'll really like Lamia. Lamia is really a stand-up woman who doesn't take, let's say, she doesn't take things very lightly, and she's very deadly. And if you click on the picture, let's see, we can scroll down for Lamia. Scroll down. Look for the picture. She had the green lipstick, and they're to the white dress. Is your picture? Yes. This picture right here is a version of Lamia. Lamia is the white serpent or the white dragon. And for y'all that don't know, when you hear words like the white dragon clan or the black dragon clan, they're both melanated. And she represents the white dragon clan, and Juma has a friend you find on the page go by the name of Amon, which is the first vampire outside of Lamia he meets in the year 1791. And Amon is a 2,000-year-old vampire from Carthage that started to teach his Juma how to use his abilities more effectively. Because due to Juma being a vampire, Lamia being a vampire, Lamia knows some things because she's older, but she's keeping it from Juma. And here's another example of Juma with his purple arms. This right here is a mutated skin over the years due to he has what you call draconic DNA. And due to the nobility in his heart, they turn purple. So think purple, you'll become purple. It's one of those metaphors. And if you zoom in on the belt, it represents a bit of piracy due to being a Berber, a pirate Berber, representing the Berber heritage or being a piracy. The afro represented the freedom, the knots representing rebellious, the bat wings representing once again his nature. The red and black colors represent the colors of Set. To y'all that's into voodoo, Papa Legba, them kind of things, the spiritual vibes. And one thing about it, I wanted to bring a lot of spiritual. So with someone like Lamia, she has the DNA abilities of Lilith, the vampire Titaness, Isis, the Egyptian goddess, and Medusa, the snake goddess. And one thing about it is you all will learn about there's certain prodigies because all prodigies are not vampires. You have Tekanansi. Some of these people I'm still bringing in, but I do have pictures of Greedy Kilo, which is Clint Kleiman, who has the powers of Zeus, Atlas, and Gilgamesh. And Greedy Kilo, he probably be got more of a gold and blue suit. So if you find that picture, that would be Greedy Kilo. There you go, right there. This is one of the versions of Greedy Kilo. Greedy Kilo is one of the best friends of Juma. That's Juma freed from slavery back on the carnival with Leonard Tate, Clint Climbing. Clint Climbing also fell into slavery with June became a super soldier. And one thing, these two guys got each other's backs. And when it comes to strength, Greedy Kilo's actually stronger in strength. Juma's more psionic, with psionic abilities, able to drain life force, kinetic energy absorption, psionic ability to absorb light, causing blackouts within his vicinity, many different kinetic abilities. I can go through a whole list and I get a little bit tired. But if you all check the page, you look under certain things of Juma, you will find these abilities. Some people will say he's overpowered. Please ignore that. If you're into consciousness, I say please ignore that. They don't understand when we say we are the Titan or we the guys. They don't understand. People limit themselves to slight abilities, but then nobody says nothing about Superman, characters like that, or the Century. So I wanted to give us a dark, superpowered character like that. And one
Awesome.
thing I would like to tell people about is when Juma comes back to Sugarville, he has what's called the Purple Dragon Clan. And he meets a guy by the name of Nobleman Gerard the Black, which for some of y'all, aka Noble Drew Ali. And the thing is, for some people, please don't get offended. I was just keeping our stuff within a secret. If you get what I'm saying, you'll get what I'm saying. It, trying to play the fool, not thinking, not trying to show people that we're in our feelings when I'm trying to put out this book. So the main thing was to keep some of those things and change the words around. That was my main mission. And one thing I also want to say is to many people when they read this story, which it will be coming out this year, people, I do a lot. I got a few jobs. I'm juggling this, I'm juggling that, but I really love to show this to people. And one thing is that people will get an understanding of you don't just have to focus on Juma as well too. There's Iman. He ends up with adopted son. If you can you press on that middle picture on the top row? And I would like to really explain that right there. Yes, thank you. This right here is what you call vampiric melanin. And this picture right here is an ancient Moor that was part of that was able to go into sunlight. One thing about it is it takes Juma 100 years to actually walk back in daylight, and he still doesn't like daylight. He prefers cloudy days though. And one thing is about vampiric melanin is that all melanated vampires are not going to have vampiric melanin. And I hope I can, but I will be putting Dracula in one story about the Red Dragon clan. Dracula has stolen the black essence. If you all go back and watch the 1992 movie with Gary Oldman, Bram Stoker's Dracula, he was able to walk in daylight. And I believe the sister could tell you, I stated this on a lecture. And one thing is, if you read the book, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you can find it on sacredtext.com, PDF it, whatever. And you will find that he was able to walk in daylight. So sometimes, even with Hollywood, they kind of over sugarcoated it, with the burning in daylight. So, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting, adding vampiric melanin because, we don't burn in daylight. Like I said, also, I'm a very, very, very big Blade fan. I always have been a Blade fan. So, you'll see some of the inspirations in there with the vampiric melanin. Also, Juma is able to form what I call blood swords. And when he forms these blood swords out of his blood manipulation and his blood magic, you will see. Oh, can you scroll right there for me? Can you go right there? Picture right there. And this right here is a version of Juma more human like. This version of Juma, as you see, he's a bit more muscular. that's coming from his mutation. Juma is also a size manipulation. And one thing I would like to teach people is that certain vampires, not just shapeshifters, but size manipulators. So if you go to the main comic book picture of Juma, you see he's more skinnier, size manipulation. Sometimes he do it to fit in with certain crowds. And that way they can't suspect that if he's a prodigy or not. Click on the brother right there with the white in the white for me. Because it's Friday. I need that right there. Thank you.
It's
Now,
lawnmowers.
since it's Friday, as I like to tell people, this right here is Nobleman Gerard the Black, aka who you all would call Noble, based off of Noble Drew Ali. And this is still based off in the 20s where he and Juma meet and he's fascinated by Juma. And you can find a story sample on this page where they actually have a conversation. And Juma is telling him that he was once a Berber that got betrayed and how he became a vampire. And these two, when you read this story, you're going to see that Juma, and let's just say Noble Drew Ali get down too in the film. I didn't want to make us look weak. That I know people are tired of that. I got tired of that growing up too. So you're gonna see inspirations of people that you actually read about, study about, that have actually went to war, and you're going to see Nobleman Gerard the Black and Juma fighting side by side. So let's just say, for instance, the first Moore Science Temple of America got burnt down. So I wanted to put something like that in the story.
I am here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Juma?
I don't know
Juju,
if anybody can hear me,
can you hear me? Yes,
but if
I can hear
so, I would
you.
like I would like to know if anybody got any questions.
Um, Can you hear me? Okay, so I was questioning about.
1 second, then, sister. 1 second. Hang on. I already know what I got to do. Happens all the time. Hang on. I'm coming back.
He said he couldn't hear me, but I'm just grateful that he's even joining us and bringing Juma to the forefront because the story behind Juma and the different brothers and his father and then his mother and wife, all of the entire backstory I thought was very pertinent to bring, and that everybody did need to at least hear about this because we know about Marvel and we know about DC comics and etc. But what do we know about our own melanated uh, comic that actually gives us his story, her story, our story in the story? Brother, can you hear me now?
Hello. I'm back now. Sorry about
Oh,
that. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
okay, all right, yes. So we yes, while you were speaking so much, you're giving so much information. The the series you were you spoke about Juma versus Superman. Can you
Yes,
possibly
ma'am.
elaborate on that? Because I
I'm
think
glad
that's
you
a great
asked.
thing.
I'm glad you asked that. Okay, what it was this. I wanted, with me being an independent comic book artist, writer, I wanted to give us, if you're into Bobby Hemming or if you're into the occult or darkness, I wanted to give us a powerful character. I liked it Blade, I liked it Spawn. I wish there was a combination of both. Juma is that vampiric dark Superman that it's a challenge. And I wrote the story already, and I will post it. I feel like I gotta post it now. And these two characters right here that are being shown, these are my inspirations to Juma. So Without these two characters, you really wouldn't have that much of Juma. Uh, necromancy, vampirism. So I wanted to make a strong combination. But back to Juma versus Superman. I wanted to give us a story that look, we got a powerful character too made by us, and I just chose a darker route because I wanted to make a superhero that could match Superman. And if
Okay.
you scroll back up to the top, I just cannot remember the picture, but it'll start to list some of his powers and what it is. What I will do for the people, I got to now since you asked me. I was trying to post a part of the story of how people can get like the combination, like what would happen if these two fight. Superman representing the day, Juma representing the night. If it was daylight, Superman would have the fight. If it was nighttime, Juma would have the fight. And what it was, I wanted to give people say, well, why in the nighttime, Juma, when we children of the sun? A lot of people don't know. Yes, we are, but also we're night children. If you go to the word Negro, break it down to neck, Nek, goes into nocturnal, which means night. That's what I was going for. I was going for the darker. Hold on, can you scroll up for me right there? Back up, up, right there. That picture. Yes, there. Scroll down. Right. Well, you can use that picture. All these pictures right here, what you see with these giant afros, are versions of Juma. And what it was when you see the red cape, sometimes you see him with a purple cape. The red cape means he's in sanguine mode, and that's part of his blood magic. There you go. And this means sanguine mode. Now back to the Superman fight. Superman has what we call invulnerability, great durability, very strong, very. Juma can match it with kinetic energy absorption and life force absorption. So imagine even if Superman punched stronger than Juma, all punched Juma, he was able to catch it and absorb the strength. He could become just as strong as Superman. And hold on, scroll up for me. You'll see that picture of that bat symbol. Up, 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 right there. No, scroll back down for me. It got that bat symbol. It got words to it. Right there. Right here is a small example of what's going on with some of the abilities. And this was just an example that I wanted to give out. Could do. And like I said, it's a small example because I have what's called super, and you can look this up, superhuman strength type 2. June was able to lift up to a Brooklyn Bridge or even more. And he has a form called the Al Ghul Negri. It's a giant bat form. He's able to lift up to billions of pounds. So he's able to stop an earthquake or a tsunami. And Superman doesn't have these forms. So what I wanted to do was is give Superman a challenge of someone he can't just easily beat. And Juma gets much of a challenge too. So I lined these two characters up and I wanted to call it the versus the Moor of Darkness. And what it was, Superman comes to Moore home, sent by Amanda Waller to come arrest Juma. And shout out to a sister, I call her Mama Mojo. And I got another character who goes by the name of Uncle Charlie, who's a community activist. They warned Superman to get out the city before he ends up getting wrecked. Superman not understanding that Juma is a hero and not a villain, but Amanda Waller, due to she works for the government, she's calling him a villain. Because Juma, click on that picture for me right there, the blue with the blue on. Scroll up, right there. Yeah, you can click on that one. There's Juma and Lamia. And if you look at Lamia's, her feet, they look a little less human. Those are bird feet going back to Ishtar, or Lilith having the bird feet. So you see some inhumane features with this, but it's also representing who we are. And if you could scroll above that picture right there, up right here, there you go. This picture right here. As you see that Juma's face is not so batty, but it is a little bit of undead. And shout out to my boy who did this. He did this with AI. And one thing about it, if you look at his hair piece, head piece, uh, one brother told me check out the Mosaic people. So if you look at the Mosaic people, they hats were shaped like that. But it was my cool way of making it a combination of Afro, a little bit of Arabic, and a little bit of hip hopish or rapish, because I try to make Juma look more cool than uptight and upright. So get Juma a little bit more pep in his step. Now, with this Superman story, Juma loses the first fight, and Moorhome boos Superman, and they don't understand it. And Juma gets locked away for 5 weeks. Now, I was actually going to base this off of Christmas. Y'all tell me, either Christmas or New Year's, but I wanted to make it something like a holiday. No, I don't celebrate holidays, but I do believe in loving your families. And what I was doing was, while Juma was locked away, Juma's weakness, I don't know if you could pull it up. You'll probably have to actually not say actually read, but it'll show Juma's weakness. It's in a post called "Powers Come with a Cost." Powers will cost you. Juma has the weakness that's of the demiurge about this. And this was just a story I wanted to do. And the shackles of the demiurge will actually are made of the spear of Ra, sun steel metal, and the fires of the god Apollo, sun god Apollo. So it's another form of he's still weak to sunlight, but at a superhuman effect, not just natural sunlight. That just make them a little bit weaker. You got to actually get the sun steel metal. You got to forge this in order to lay them down. If you hit them with the spear of Ra or the fires of Apollo, it'll slow them down a bit, but it's not going to slow them down as much. You have to have all three components to actually lock them around his wrist. These are shackles going back into slavery. And what this will do is, if they're left on for over 72 hours, he will come into a mummified corpse state and go into a coma. This actually happened when he was trapped on the island. And if you click on that black and white image, that image right there, you'll see at the church back in Moorhome. And behind him, you see those pile of skulls, and you see how long his tongue is. The long tongue, I like the Venom too. That was my dog. I ain't gonna lie, I rock with Venom. It was a good character. But also the serpent, it also represents the reptilian, with the serpent having a long tongue that spits out. Also, Juma has the ability to turn into a Komodo dragon. And one thing about it is, I wanted people to see that Superman being Kal El, Juma being Maurizio Solomon Bay. So you still got the L versus Bay. I was still trying to keep it help me out here a little Moorish. And if you look at those two pictures right next to the black and white picture, those are the other inspirations of Juma with the purple. Anytime you usually see Juma in purple, somebody in purple usually gonna be Juma with an afro. And this right here, I ain't gonna lie, I got a little bit of, I liked it black you look growing up. So that's somebody told me it looked like black you look a little bit when I was creating this one.
He
And
does.
one thing about it, the main mission was to get y'all, if y'all see the muscular, because somebody asked me why my character, why is Juma so muscular? And I'm saying it represents me being on the Titan realm and not on the human realm. See, people are still stuck on this human look, and I'm trying to get people to themselves bigger, powerful, better. So anytime you see Juma being more muscular, you see the afro is representing the spirit of the dark man. Any questions?
So far, you're answering the questions as, as you're going, which is great. I'm appreciating and loving this lecture because
All right.
the
Well, I'll still
connections
tell this
to,
Superman story a little
yeah,
bit. So
because
as
I
Juma's
was
locked
trying to
away
find that
for five
image.
weeks, he's planning to get out of there, and
Hold
he's only
on.
can feed on a little bit of blood. He makes a way to escape, and he goes back and fights Superman, and he wins. And he kicks Superman out of Moorhome, flying away. So I'm just gonna put it like that. So what it was, Juma had to learn how to take down Superman. He knew he couldn't take him down. The only reason why Juma lost because the sun was coming up. And if the sun is coming up, Juma will begin to lose some of his abilities. Once again, yes, he has been picked melanin, but he prefers to be in the cloudy days. He just doesn't like the sunny days. It goes back to what happened to his family, dying in daylight. So he hated that. His grandfather and his children, losing them in daylight. And that was one of the things. So when you look at Juma, look at him as one of your night superheroes. And I don't like to say the word superhero. Actually, I would say anti-superhero because that's what they was labeled. And so there's three different groups. You have the conspirators, the prodigies, and the guardians of the black. The guardians of the black are the house Negroes. The prodigies are Juma, Lamia, Greedy Kilo, Satan Center, who has the powers of Azazel, and the demon Beelzebub, Tekanansi, who has the powers of the spider god Anansi and is good with cyborg with computer skills. You have shot for free or shoot for a fee, who has the abilities of Hermes and a marksman's goddess Artemis. So there's more characters, and then you had the conspirators, who are more like the Eternals or the Watchers, and these are some of your deadly characters who can blow this earth up. And groups start getting locked away that know the truth of what's going on with the government. So with these groups getting locked away, according to Juma's group two, the Guardians of Black, they will be your representation of crack hit in the 80s or the single parents in homes, all the stuff that's wrong with our people today. They will be a representation of that.
Okay,
Your
so that
secret
was a
elite,
question
your
I
black
had.
elites.
Oh, well, not a question. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me? No, I can't hear you. So I'll continue. I'm coming back. So as I was saying, with Juma, I want everybody to be resonated with is that Juma also is us searching his journey, trying to find himself and who he is, and standing on his purpose, and not losing sight of his purpose.
Okay, I see a lot of correlations to true uh, individual, like you were, well, as soon as he comes back, we'll speak on it again. I see a lot of correlations to real, true to life individuals, as he was saying, to the characters in the comic or in his dialogue or in all of these different individuals. It's just amazing, as well as the historical part. That's what I find as most important, is that we get the historical aspect, and that we have true representation of us as well. These images are amazing. Let's see if he's coming. He'll be back in. There we go. Can you hear me
I'm back.
now?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay, I was just we saying that the historical part of the of what you're doing, I find that that's like so invaluable, because it's bringing forth our story in, you know, our own way, without it being tainted or distorted by anyone else, Tamahu, or however you want to refer to anyone else other than us. How did you
One second.
how do you just to be able to bring our story without any interruption or oh, did I lose him again? Yep, I lost him again. That's all right. I'm going to wait for him to come back before I ask this question because I'm wondering how he got all of this information to be able to bring it to the forefront for everyone to see, or be able to have access to, or to be able to create these characters, to know that we come from a line of vampires and werewolves is one thing, what I'm saying. I don't know if anybody else was paying attention to that part of the history that he was giving. Um, but it reminded me of a lot of the past cartoon, or not cartoon, but the past characters from the past, as he was saying, the Blades and the Spawns, uh, that are no longer around. I feel like this is the opportunity to bring back forth the voice of us as a people. Thank you back for coming back in. I appreciate you. Go ahead and continue.
One
If
thing
you
I'll
can hear
say,
me.
I really appreciate the energy. Yes, I can hear you. One thing I wanted to say is thank you for that right there. And I really needed to hear that even myself. Um, I really want to bring this character out and give people something they can resonate with. And not just Juma. I got more characters coming too. Juma is just the beginning. And I like to tell people that there'll be more characters because everybody's not into vampires. Some people like Hulk like characters, Juggernaut like characters. I have them too on the way. Some like werewolves. Juma has a werewolf brother go by the name of Abe. He's actually in the on the what you want to call the page, and Abe is a powerful werewolf. Go ahead.
That's before you came in. That's what I was actually just talking about with everyone, about the werewolf and vampire connection, and how we actually all do come from, or there's some semblance of truth to the story that you're bringing forth, even within the characters, even though the names are just slightly changed or whatnot. There's still uh, some his story and her story and our story still in there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No? Losing our sound again. So, like I was saying, I was explaining about the his story and her story. I was telling everybody earlier about the different werewolf connections and the vampire connections. Like you were talking about the Blade and Spawn earlier, and how it's been like 25 years that we haven't even heard anything about them. So it's time for us to bring forth our own characters back again. Whatever happened to Blade? Where did he disappear to, or what happened to our melanated, melanin-rich superheroes that were walking during the daytime hours? I know when Blade was one of my heroes as well. Blade could walk in the daytime as well as at night. He had no uh that it seemed like there was nothing that could stop him. The Batman character, even though and the different individuals that do portray him now, I remember as a child it was the real black Superman, and or the real black man. These were characters and individuals that we had to look up to, and heroes. So it's been 25, 30, almost 30 years. It's time for us to bring about these characters, these heroes, these super villains, as you may want to refer to them. And as Juma was saying, if the vampires and the werewolves aren't your flavor or taste, scroll the page and check it out. There's the juggernaut, the big guy. I digress, and I'll let you go ahead and continue if you can hear me. Go ahead.
Also, you got the blue guide I'm working on. You got the master student, which is a martial artist that has the ability for dark matter energy. So you have Marmaid. I got pictures of her up there. I got another character called Pink Scorpio, which is a female. I got females coming, as y'all see. Female, you see, I got females coming. So the main thing is, I'm not just don't want to resonate just with the men. I want women to resonate as well, because women are powerful too. And one example, remember, Lamia is older than Juma. Lamia was 400 years old when she met Juma at 33 years old. So that's showing that she's very, very powerful too. Don't sleep on her. So together they make king and queen. And if you click right there, now that lady right there, that's a special lady. I call her Lady Hema. She's what you call an aborigine of Texas back when it was called Toltec. That was the word I came up with. So that was my main mission. And I wanted not just give men, I wanted women to feel something too. So that everybody can feel more than just human. It's one thing telling people they the gods, but I feel like if you don't put art out like this, how can you get your message across? Or people gonna still feel less, and then they gonna still be going to them images where people got holding up AKs and pistols and 40 ounces. So I wanted to give people something, and there go Marmaid. This people gonna love her. And see, this is what I'm saying. Everything's not vampiric. You I got a lot of characters. These are characters that come into Juma's life. So even when they're in Juma's story, I tell people, hey, if you want to see more of this character, you got to do with me what you can't do with Marvel. Type me, write me, and show me what you want with these different characters. So I got vampire women, werewolf women, succubus women, the owl lady. I got a lady I'm working on called Mama Mojo, Miss Mojo, who's more into voodoo and obia magic. So there's a lot of characters that I really want to give people, and I really want people to feel something when they read in these stories. Not just even, and I get it though. The art be crazy. I respect it, and sometimes people don't want to read what I put under there, but people love the art. So I say, hey, forget it. Some people just love the art. I guess I keep doing that too then. So I understand now that there's different people. Now, if you click on this picture with Juma, that's going to more the okay. Here go the owl lady. This right here represents an endomorph. How she was turning into an owl. That's what I wanted to do for y'all. I wanted to make y'all more than just regular women, powerful women. So when I start dropping these stories, don't think these women are weak. These women are powerful. I just put a post up today talking about how three vampire men gonna have a problem with the wolf queen. So don't think that, man just finna run over woman. I don't want people thinking that in these stories. These are ancient, powerful women. These are not just no young bucks or nothing like that. Juma got to earn his way sometimes. He got to earn respect. So, that was one of the main things too, is making the woman feel powerful. Where there's Superman, there's Wonder Woman. Let's stop playing. Where there was Storm, there was Black Panther. Where there's Juma, there's Lamia. Where there's Abe, there's the Wolf Queen. There's Amon, there's Lily. There's many women I got ready for the story. Marmaid, Pink Scorpio, Jay the Green. I can keep going. Gorilla Joe. I just dropped him. That's if people want a gorilla superhero. Um, I got another character coming out like a Superman character called Mr. Righteous. So it's so many characters I got coming for people that people can pick. I got like a spider-like character that I was talking about earlier called Tekka Nancy. People will like him for those who like Spider-Man or Miles Morales type characters. So everybody can get a little bit of something. So I guess the main thing is I tell people we all gonna have something different. So yeah, that's the blue guy right there. I've been working on him. He got more water and wind abilities. So and that's what people and shout out to Crip Jesus. That's where I came with that inspiration. I won't lie. You know, Crip Jesus kind of gave me that idea with the blue guy. So I had to come up with something. I thought it was interesting. So I said, let me see if I come up with a character like this. And these characters' powers are listed. I just haven't had time. And you know, Instagram don't give me enough space to write on everything, and I get mad about that. And I'm thinking like, man. So that's why I had no choice but to give story samples. If they give me more space to write, y'all probably get a little bit too much, and y'all probably be asking, where's the next one at? I want to know about this and that. So I try as much as I can. So when people like you interview me, I try to tell as more as I can. I say, hey, just interview me. And I would tell you way more than what I could kind of tell you on there. But I also tell people, if you want a little bit more of the story, like you have the werewolves who are the Aborigines. So the vampire, Juma, he was born in Texas. His brother's born in Texas. Now, you know, we have the story of the Civil War. Juma fought for, I'm going to just say this, the Union side. Abe fought for the Confederate side. Now, we know the Confederates, some of those blacks that was fighting on that side was fighting for their land. Now, Abe represents the werewolf. He's not in slavery. So he's trying to protect his people, but he's over here still eating up these Aborigine people. So we know, as we know through hidden history, people made deals. So some of the Aborigines made deals with Juma just to keep the werewolves back. Matter of fact, you might have clicked on that. I thought I saw you click on that little story sample, but it shows a little bit of that. And it's not everything's not all brotherly love. You're going to see brother versus brother, somebody that can't able, but you don't see brother kill brother. They come to agreements. You know, I'm not for brothers killing brothers, but right there, click on Golden Hawk. I got to show this house Negro if you don't mind.
This one here.
No man, scroll up a little bit more. He a light skinned Negro. He got that hawk head like Horace. Yeah, keep going. You gonna find him because he like man, but he got a hawk head. You know, I call him House Negro with no purpose. And if they go to Patriots of the Pale, or you know, some of the y'all want to call them the Founding Father. There you go, right there. Yeah, get that House Negro right there. Yeah, he's the leader of the House Negroes. He's the reason why we went on crack on the 80s. He, who you call Malcolm X, I call Xavier Stone. He knew about all that. Juma and them, when they don't know about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they've been locked up since 1946. So if you catch my drift, by the time they get out of prison 76 years later, they didn't found out about people like MLK and Malcolm X and what they were trying to do. And you know, we know there's some flip stories as well. So you know, I still try to give what you want to call the feel good story too. Explain like, hey, there were Negroes that was aiding the BS. House Negroes, we want to call them coons, whatever you want to call them. We all from different lands, you know. But you know, I like to call Golden Hawk a house Negro with no purpose. That's just my opinion. And he got a crew. And if you click on, I think it's the character right next to him, go by the name of Grizzly Bow. I mentioned him earlier. That's another house Negro. There go another picture of Lamia. Okay, stop right there. That's Dr. Monroe. He's the one created Juma, all the prodigies. Now, you look at his head, that's the head of a lion. And if you look at his body, it's kind of reptilian, representing Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, head of the lion, body of the serpent. That's where that was coming from. He has the DNA of the demiurge in him. And actually, what it was, he was injected with it by Lamia's mother, who was trying to save her daughter. So he killed Lamia's mother and father, leaving him to adopt her. He trained her, and as she grew older, he started to experiment on her. She was one of the first prodigies. So look at Lamia as the first, or the black woman as the first. So that was one of the missions that I wanted to do too. And if you scroll up, go ahead, scroll up for me. Yeah, right above Golden Hawk. There you go. Yeah, there go them two house Negroes right there. Right there. There you go. Yep. This is Dr. Monroe in his human form. He's an albino Negro, a self-hated Negro. And the reason why I did it, when we talk about that Yakubish and and all that, that's where that was coming from. And his brother, Lord Dajiti, was actually dark skinned complected. So I was giving more of that Jacob and Esau thing for those who like that. So what I was doing was I was tying everything, brothers and sisters always bringing forth. Now this house Negro right here with no purpose. This is Grizzly Bow. And Grizzly Bow is Greedy Kilo's arch nemesis. Grizzly Bow was the slave that Greedy Kilo or Clint Climate won against in the Mandingo match. So he always had a jealousy. He got sold out to Dr. Monroe first. And so he always had a thing against Juma and Greedy Kilo. So he's more of Greedy Kilo's arch nemesis. And Golden Eagle is more Juma's arch nemesis. Why? Because bats and birds are actually natural enemies to a degree. Hawks and owls and eagles will attack bats. And so a little bit of anthropology in there.
See, that's what I love about
So if we
what you're
click on the
saying.
picture right there, them two kissing, that's these two pictures right here. Go ahead, sister.
Okay, so I was saying I love the fact that
And you see
you're
right
making
here,
it real.
thank you. And see, and you know what? I'm gonna say this, and I'm glad I got you on here. I'm glad that someone outside of me can see it, and that was the main mission. I didn't want to make what you want to call it. I didn't want to give them y'all the same story because y'all wasn't watching it before. I'm looking at the comic book sales. They are not doing that well, and so one thing I also do, I like to post other melanated comic artists too on my page, like ISOM, Impound Comics. As we spoke for too, Black Sands. These people too. So I try to be just like them and give y'all something special. I think like me and Black Sands, we got more of a common thing going on because he based his more off the Egyptian story. I based mine off more of the Moors and slavery, but I figured that that resonated more with people over here in the West. I feel like that's just me. I'm not dissing the brother. I just said I wanted to give y'all the story over here because everybody don't care about Africa. So I was trying to give everybody a little bit of something.
Good
So if you
deal, good
notice, I
deal.
don't speak much about it. And if y'all notice, I don't speak much about Africa. And if you notice, I really don't speak much about white people. I don't have to. Because the reason why I feel like this is because if you got to still talk about that, you can't give a story out correctly. You don't know how to give a story between your people. And because we all say we put each other in slavery, we were the first. So we were the first to kill each other. As I said in my first lecture, it's us versus us. And like some of us say, even when people look at the X-Men, you look at Charles Xavier versus Magneto, some would say that's Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X. Then listen to what you're saying. X-Men versus the Brotherhood of Music, they're both black groups.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is I was like, okay, if that's the case. And I'm telling people, no, I'm not racist. I'm just trying to give you your story. I want you to feel good before I make somebody outside of you feel better. I need you to feel good first. Man, look, I'm gonna put Dracula in. I gotta do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I always wanted to see Blackula versus Dracula, but we never got it. So that was another inspiration. I said, man, we already know we're not getting Blackula again either. So I said, man, let me make a fight between Juma versus Dracula. The
When you
purple
fell
dragon.
off,
Go ahead.
or when you fell off earlier, that's what I was telling everybody about, that the Blackula, Dracula. It's been 25 plus years. We haven't seen or heard anything about him. It's time. You know what I'm saying? So, what better time than right now? The time is now to go on ahead and just knock it on out. And you've been doing this. I've been following you for, the past couple years or so, just keeping up with the images. And we've been talking the past few weeks, and just my mind was totally blown. I had to let everybody know, like, hey, if we support each other now, we don't got to worry about going to somebody else to go get some money to put our things out into publishing. We can publish our own things ourselves. We don't got to go through other entities. I'll leave them at that term.
Exactly. No, no,
You
and
know,
see, that's what I put, and I'm glad you said it. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad you really said it, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget this. Everything you just said right there, I put a post up, and I was saying I was and still am a fan of Marvel and DC. I'm just not deriding for to ask for black heroes to be made. We don't need them. We keep putting in the back of our head that we need these people, and we don't. We get the concept already. You can make your own. Everybody want a black Goku. Everybody want a black Superman. Everybody want Blade again and Spawn again or something like that. A black Wonder Woman. And I tell people, like I was trying to tell a sister before, if she really wanted to see a Storm movie, I tell you, I got the right Marvel in DC. Sometimes they don't get back at you, but I just say I'm independent, and because I also started to see comic book sales have been down. And then we looking at these movies. I ain't heard now one sister said she liked the Marvels movie. I ain't heard you sister say y'all like the Black Panther movie, and I got confused. And I thought that was representing y'all. And I'm like, nah, something didn't seem right. And I asked sisters, what was wrong with the movies? Y'all must not feel resonated. What's your opinion?
I, I, I didn't particular, I didn't care for the last, um, uh, the last movie that they created, because I feel like a woman should be feminine and, the curves and etc. So to have an all female Captain Save 'em
Oh, okay, okay.
complex, I just kind of had a, I don't, I just, I saw so many different, even the young, it just, it didn't resonate with me as
Fair enough.
an organic sprung from the soil. You know what I'm saying? I just,
No, I understand. I understand it. That's why I had to ask. And see,
Nothing against them, nothing
right.
against it at all. Because my son wanted me to watch it with him. We both watched it so that we could both give our. Even I said he said the same thing. Yeah, even a female superhero, they still gonna make her with curves, so she's still gonna be sexualized. But a male superhero, he gonna be the one that's gonna come scoop him. He gonna toss the car across over there. You know what I'm saying? Or I j- like you
I
said,
feel you.
so the
So,
Marvel one didn't resonate with me. Um, the the Woman King did not resonate because I'm not a fan of feminism at all. You know,
so
my
can I
mel
ask you this one question? You
yes.
like that last Batman movie came out though, didn't you? How Batman and Catwoman working together?
So I haven't seen that one yet, but
Although you went out on me. There you go. You went out on it.
okay.
Uh,
Now if we go back to the old one where when with Eartha Kitt when she was Catwoman, yes, because now with her I resonated. She gave me that, okay, yeah, that's us. That's an organic. That's that's us. These other ones though, I really can't resonate with just yet. I don't know if anybody is has anything else. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Type your questions in the comment section. I appreciate everybody for joining us this evening. And I definitely appreciate Juju for bringing Juma to us and this amazing his story, our story, uh it's just definitely not their story. And like you said, nothing against any other comic producers, but this one here is based off of us here on this here land, or Turtle Island, as you know, as I prefer to look at and refer to this location. Uh, Said North America, Central America, the Americas, uh, Turtle Island. Yeah, this story here brings more of us, and like you were saying, the females, the women, the strength that it brings. These other uh, comic strips do not give us what we need as a people. Like 25, 30 years ago, there was also a character that was removed. What was his? He was with He-Man. Oh, because he was upstaging us. Not upstaging us, but he was upstaging He-Man. What was his name? Sunman. I don't know
Sunman.
if anyone else can recall that, but he was also removed from circulation. Anytime there is an upstaging of a character that is not of the persuasion of the palm of the hand, all of those heroes have been removed. So why not us support ourselves and each other, and we get our own going, just
Exactly.
like
They
Juma
don't.
got here. Go
And
ahead.
see, and I was gonna say this, and was I said when it came to going back to when you said with the feminism, I wanted to show men and women working together. So on some of these fights, I even had this idea at one point. I'm not sure still. I was gonna have Juma and Lamia fight Superman and Wonder Woman. I was trying to show the duality and the see. I was these are the type of ideas I had. I was trying to put the character in there that way people can know Juma and Lamia because those were my first two. Juma representing man, Lamia representing woman. It's not that I tell people that Lamia needs Juma just as much as Juma needs Lamia. It's just that they have a split due to she didn't like Juma relied too much on saving the people because remember he still had his first wife's blood heart left in him. So now when he acts vampiric, he's acting off his subconscious mind. Lamia never liked it that. Lamia felt that it was a trick within that. So everybody's got some type of game. Everybody's trying to win some kind of way. And it'll look like somebody's getting over on somebody, to get what they want. So when Lamia thought she got a husband, yeah, she got the husband, but he could resist blood drinking more. He still had a heart for humans or the people. So how Lamia gonna look at it like, those not my people anymore. You're my people. You're not them anymore. But she don't get it that Juma, it comes to a difference. There's Maurizio and there's Juma. Maurizio being day side, Juma being night side. Maurizio is the conscious, Juma is the subconscious. But Lamia has the ability to turn on Juma's subconscious at certain times if she can. And what that was, if people were like, well, don't they sound like she controlling him? No, not exactly. It's what it is. It's a blood bond. When we say, oh, when we get married, we become one entity. That's what they represented. So it's only so much that they can be a, and that's one thing that I wanted to put in there. Like, yes, you will see, and like when Lamia, she does have solo fights. And the reason why I say solo fights is because Lamia had something going on way before she met Juma. Juma came in as a savior. He just doesn't know it. He's looking at Lamia that she used him because he's still looking at everything from a human perception. He won't open up his mind and look at it from a immortal perspective, a God perspective. Certain things that got to be done, we all not gonna like. So he doesn't know. So Lamia started to tell him, and he was like, well, why did you choose me? And that's a picture of Lamia too in that white. If you want to show everybody that, representing the white dragon clan. That's just another version of her. And what this was, I was doing, I was trying to show the women like they got their trials and tribulation they got to go through to rise, just as men do. So Juma gets locked away in the Tiamat universe. Lamia gets locked away in the Leviathan universe. Both still got the rise to catch one another. Some people are going to look at it like that's Lamia when she fully joins Juma again and she puts on purple. As you see the snake hair that's representing the Medusa, and because she also has the DNA of the Medusa, she's able to control snakes. So she's a serpent charmer. Also, she's connected with Lilith and Isis. So the serpent, when it comes to the women, is very important. But also, she's still the white dragon. She has that ability. And like I tell people, please ignore Kazor when you hear that word. Please do. If you're going to think about Caucasoid, hear Caucasoid when you think of the Red Dragon Clan or something like that. But please do not put that on White Dragon Clan because these are the Black Dragon Clan and the White Dragon Clan come from the Draconians and the Anukari, aka the children of the Enki. And we know they ain't got nothing to do with no Caucasoids. So let's stop playing. So whoever decides to try to add Caucasoid, they the retarded ones and just ignore them. And that's just what that is. Like I said, we will see us fighting Germans and stuff like that. You gonna see us fighting KKK zombies. You gonna see all of that. Yeah, you gonna still get that. But the thing is, you're winning or you're causing winning. Like I got an example. Juma and Lamia, they adopt a child in Chicago. This is how they meet Nobleman Gerard the Black. And you scroll up, you'll find him. His name is Hakeem Duma. He's like a giant vampire beast like creature. It's a drawing of him. And it's Juma's adopted son. And Juma gives him the strength of a vampiric like juggernaut. And this is actually dedicated to my boy who go by the name of Dardan or Duma. And what it was, Hakeem was one of those that he was around outside listening to Noble Drew Ali and them talk. He was spying and listening because he was kind of like his dad was a drunk, his mom was dead, one of them kind of things, and his father was killed by a KKK zombie. And so Hakeem was a small boy. He got picked on. He used to get picked on. If you click on this picture right here, right there, there you go. That's Hakeem as he get older, and that's one of his forms. If you click up the picture above that, that's his monstrous form, and that's Juma's adopted son. He met when went to Chicago. And if you click the picture right above it, there you go. There's that vampiric form. That's Hakeem Duma. Hakeem Duma is more of indestructible. So I want other people to think this too, though. All vampires don't go. Put it like this: melanated vampires don't get no stake through no heart. That unless they got tied to something Romanian. So don't think on all that holy water ish and all that. Please don't. It is not, and it's for Christian vampires. So you'll see Dracula go through it a little bit, but you're not going to see Juma go through it. Juma was not Christian. He was Islam and Egyptian. So if that makes sense. So, and if you click on the picture to the left of that, the one, the purple with the turban on, that too. They are. If you see, I'm showing more examples of these vampiric Moors. And the main thing was to get y'all to resonate. Some kind of way. You see the brothers in the turbans and stuff like that. Juma never lost sight. It was kind of like this. When we say we were Moors and we came Negroes, how I like to say this, he was a Moor. When he became a vampire, he became a Necro. So it's a kind of an opposite thing. From Moors to Negroes, from Moors to Necros. So, that meaning the undead. But I also tell people when it comes to Necro and Negro, I know I know it comes off negative, and I get status and law. But when it comes to spiritual, it's one of the most powerful things that people forget. When we say we are children of Tiamat, or we were the Titans, you got to understand what you're saying. You are children of the dead gods in human flesh. That's what make you Negro. That's what make you Necro. That's me giving the spiritual side. Now, whatever is been said about law, I don't argue with that. Hey, all power to that. I'm telling you what's spiritual. So, and I think what it is, many people that are law and then people are spiritual try to mix their ideology together, and that should not be like that. Keep law where law is and keep spiritual where spiritual is. If you don't want to deal with law, stay over there. If you don't want to deal with spiritual, stay over there. If you're a intelligent person, you'll look at both sides to see, okay, I get this, I get that. And I told people from a book called Dragon of the Twin Flames, it will explain how the Canaanites and the Moabites explain how black and white didn't exist, neither did morality. It came from Judo Christianity. And that's giving the occultic part to it because the black and white started off with black magicians and white magicians. It had nothing to do with the color of the skin. It was the magic you practiced. So if you was into necromancy, raising the dead, you were called necro or black. If you say candle magic or something, you was looked at as white. Or you was a healer. They might call you a white magician or a black magician. That's how we got that black and white started in the first place. There you go. That book right there. And you'll learn about the tribe of the Marie. And even the tribe of Marie, the Canaanites, and the Moabites, and some others were in league to go against the cult of Yahweh. And reading that book, you'll find out the goddess Anat had, or she's like the vampiric version of Isis. And then you have Ashtaroth, who's the Canaanite version of Sekhmet. And when we talk about Set versus Apep, you got Baal Seth versus Yamot. Crum put it up on the second lecture, and on that second lecture I did. So that second lecture, that gives you the early universe of Juma, how it even came down to be. So the main thing is these certain type of books. I tell people I am not trying to get nobody to nothing that they don't want to get to. I say if you want to hear the history part, you will have to look in those books. I believe even some certain Moorish brothers say some of that stuff that they call evil. You got to look into to find your history because I always wonder this. I find more stuff about Moors and us and supernatural than I do anything like. And I always ask, why nobody never talk about the Geechee tribes that were doing voodoo on plantations and were raiding plantations, robbing people, robbing white folks. I said, hold on. We get 12 years of slavery. We get that BS movie. You'll get the color purple, no disrespect. You'll get help me out here. All Django, they let we rock with. We'll get all those type of movies roots. They'll make us look weak. But why nobody never make a movie about the Geechee tribes? And they were
Or the
doing
Gullah
voodoo
Wars. Right.
on these plantations. And see, that's what I wanted to represent. And that's what I wanted to pull out. I'm like, nah, y'all not finna get us with that plantation thing. That's why I didn't want to make Juma sound weak. Yeah, you got that little part of slavery, but he rose from it. The only thing that, if anything that went wrong with Juma was his own people turning against him. That's what all this is about. I'm trying to X out that other, what you want to call, some call it the other race. Some say there's only one race, and that's human. What have you, whatever anybody's ideology, just focus on us. Focus on the ones you call sellouts and stuff like that. Focus on those people because those people, I might be listening to somebody telling me something about what some people call a conspiracy or anything. You never know. I might be writing about this. And I might be turning it to a story. I might not put their real name, but if you know the strategy, you conscious enough, you're gonna know who I'm talking about. You put me, hey, was you talking about such and such? Which reminds me, I'm gonna have to go change Elijah Muhammad's name because that was supposed to be Eli Muhammad, but it was supposed to be a difference. And what it was talking about how he banned the turbans and the fez, and how a group of 10 chosen of Noble Drew Ali's men came to Juma and said, "What can we do about this?" And Juma said, "Well, if you want something, you're gonna have to join me. I'll give you the strength to earn your fez and turban back, but you're gonna have to. You cannot be around the humans no more." And they didn't understand it, but they were so mad. You know how we get, like, man, look, we don't care about that, man. Look, we gonna sign it on down the line, and we just gonna go for it. It just deal with the repercussions after. That's how we do it. So that's what these brothers did. And then when they found out, oh, did you pack your bags? Juma say, did you pack your bags already? They were like, for what? Oh, we gotta go. They're like, where we going? This our home. No, 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 no. We made a deal. You're not more anymore. I mean, sure, you're more, but you're necro now. No, you dead. I mean, yeah, we can still send them donations, but now you can't be around these people. It was Juma still had a respect for life, so he wasn't trying to blend. He said, no, we're gonna still help the people, but we gotta help them from a distance now, because you're gonna get called devil worship. And Juma was just trying to save the purple dragon clan from that word. Because we got to remember Allah. So now the people Allah, and I got it in there, and I just haven't put it out there. Muhammad and Juma character, they have a talk, and what it was, Juma said, "I know you been." He said, "You going against the Moorish code." Elijah said, "No, I'm not." He said, and Juma tells him, "How you gonna tell me I'm older than you? I'm from the 1700s. This ain't got nothing to do with Arabic. You lying to the people." So what he does is he puts Elijah Muhammad in fear, but he takes the group and they still go away. Yes, they kill a couple of them nations NOIs. I got to make it look good. Come on now. I got to still do something to it.
Facts.
What I'm saying? It
Right,
was a
right.
war, though, but it was Moors versus the NOI. So I didn't have the white people in there. You know what I'm saying? So what it was, click on that picture right there with the purple. Oh, you just missed. They had the that's another picture though with your mind. But scroll up a little bit more. That purple picture right there, them two right there, right here. Yeah, that's an example of the chosen 10 of Moors. These are the Moors that you would say come from the Moorish Science Temple of America. These are the purple dragon clan. The purple represents nobility. So these would be the brothers that would have been what you would call it, transitioned over into vampirism, and they had to leave Chicago and these areas. And what they do, they come with Juma to Sugarville to rebuild Sugarville. He goes back home to where he was born at, because remember, his daddy owned that land. His daddy gone now, so whose land is that? That's his land. So he brings all his people to Sugarville. Yes, now I know what you're thinking. If there's some humans there, yeah, they gonna eat them. Of course, that's business. But the thing was, they had a deal. Juma said, "Look, don't worry about me touching none of your people in Chicago. Over here, though, you can eat these people because we trying to build." No, it wasn't just what you would call innocent Negroes. What it was, Juma was trying to get rid of Christianity, and he did what he had to do. And what it was, he said, no more false gods on this land. So Juma wasn't just clearing out just Christian Negroes and house Negroes and KKKs and all that. He was clearing out werewolves too, because he run across his brother. His brother trying to run the land. And Juma tells him, he said, "Negro, I own from the north side to the south side. Your side is the west side. Now stay on your side and we good." The younger brother, he feeling himself because he a prodigy too, but he only got two guys in his DNA. It's just the Egyptian wolf god. I try not to try to pronounce the name right, Sheshret, and you have Anubis and Fenrir, which is the son, actually the wolf son of Loki, the Norse god. The werewolf got these DNA, so these not your average werewolves that gonna die from some silver bullets. No, you got to come a little bit better than that. And so what it is, I was making it like, hey, we don't have to go by what the supernatural stories they say would make werewolves and vampires destroyed by. We can make our own. So Juma, that's gonna be kind of hard. But you can enslave, you can shackle him, and he'll go into what I call a mummified state. That's what that's about. But the main thing was about it is that I was trying to get people to see themselves. And if people click over in the red picture right there, the woman with the red wings, that was another inspiration. She had the locks. And what it was, that was just representing a red bone, with some locks. That's all. I was just drawing, and I wanted to come up with that a little bit, just to show y'all how powerful y'all can be on this side. So if you look at it, there's some male vampires, and and there's one thing I also want to say. There's 14 districts in Moorhome, Texas. Moorhome is the upgraded version of Sugarville by the time Juma came back after 76 years. Keyword Moorhome. I named it, and it was about a vampire that came in the 70s who predicted Juma would return. And his name was Moore Holmes. He was more like a superhero to the people. So when he died, they named the city after him. And the city becomes before Juma left, he was turning the city into a giant city. So Moorhome is like this giant Gothic metropolis city, and it's dark and gloomy. So it rains, it pours a little bit. Sometimes you remember the old saying, sunshine. Sometimes the sun don't shine in the ghetto. So that's what that
Right.
was about a little bit too. So that was my main mission. You got any questions? And I'm hoping you can hear me.
I hear you well. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can't hear you. Oh God, I can't hear you. I know you can hear me. I'm gonna come back.
Yep.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh man.
This young lady right here, though, this image is beautiful. Uh, to me, it looks like she's breaking the chains from the attachments to anything. You know what I'm saying? Uh, even these melanated vampires down here. It's a beautiful image. You know what I'm saying? Aaliyah. If anybody ever saw uh, the movie that Aaliyah was in, and she was the vampire queen, this puts me in that mindset of her as well. You know what I'm saying? That is great. It, I don't know if that's possibly where some of the motivation came from or not. Hopefully, let's see. Question:
You hear me now?
Are you? Do you remember the?
Are
Yes.
you?
Can you hear
Come
me?
on.
Okay. So you remember the movie Aaliyah was in? The Vampire
Yeah.
Queen. That's what this image
Queen of the
puts me in
Dam.
the mindset.
Queen of the Dam.
Queen of the Damned. Yes. 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 S-
Great book. And I would encourage people, not to cut you off real quick, I would encourage people to go read that book. That's very powerful. Read that book. Go ahead.
Yeah, The Queen of the Damned is a very good book. It talks all about us, even without a lot of people knowing that it's speaking about us. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to
Okay,
let
okay. I'm
everybody
about
know
to
that.
say.
You know what I'm saying? That
Uh,
that
eh,
that image that you drew put me in the mindset of the Queen of the Damned. The movie when she actually brought it to fruition.
one thing I would say about that, also speaking of Queen of the Damned, um, if anybody has AMC or has free, movie internet, whatever, they should go check out this new show called Interview with the Vampire. And reason why I'm telling them that is because it's based off of Creole Man. And if you remember the movie, Brad Pitt played the Creole character, but we know Creole what Creole really is. So they had to go back and they remade him as a black man. So you know how that goes. Some people don't like that race swapish, but I'm like, y'all ain't reading. He was really Creole. And so they brought back a Creole man, the Creole man, and it's so like I tell people ignore the flimsiness because I'm trying to be respectful on your show. You know what? I hope you know what I mean by flimsy or flamboyant. I'm just using those proper words. Ignore that because you're gonna miss what they're trying to tell you, and because They got to, you know how that goes. They gonna make you something powerful, but they gonna make something kind of weak about you. So they made the flamboyant thing a tit for tad. There you go. And I ain't gonna lie, if you could pull up YouTube, I would like for us to pull up a clip. I ain't gonna lie, but people would love
All
this
right.
show.
Let me see. Give me a second. Let's see. Let me
Oh
bring it
snap! Oh snap! But this is a real great show, and I'm waiting on season two. And the reason why is because it puts a black person in shoes like, look, if your family was religious and you went and did something like that, you know you can't hide nothing from mama.
You
And that's
said,
one
and
thing I learned. Interview with the vampire. Hit the 2022. I'm gonna see if they let us see a couple. It should be a clip that he's talking to his family. His family won't let him inside the house. And one thing about it is because they got scared of him because his features started to show a little bit. What I'm saying they know one minute your eyes is brown, next minute your eyes is green. Then we only
mm-hmm.
seeing you at we only see you can't hide nothing from your mama now. You know that.
Right.
So that's what makes it so genius. And what it was, but it's also sad too. There you go, right there, the one with the shades on. That's him,
Let's
and that
see.
right there.
Party was this afternoon.
Seeing my invitation got lost in the mail.
You want to come around? You come around when people are awake.
It's barely dinner time. I don't want to make a fuss.
6 months and you just show up. You're not welcome in this home.
I own this home. I'm the executor in charge, so welcome don't matter.
The devil walks at night.
What? What did you say?
What's going on out here?
I got you girls some paper dolls.
Go back inside, son.
Son, I'm your son.
Let me handle this, Mama Abdullah.
You don't.
Coming off a little hot now.
I ain't come here to see you. I didn't come here to see you.
Louis.
Came here
They're
to see
afraid of
Grace.
you.
Get
That's
the girls
why you didn't get
some
an
paper
invite.
dolls.
Go to your room. What did I tell y'all? There he is. There he is.
Grace. Grace.
Get out!
Now I already know what you want to say. You like that, did you? And see, that is a
Wasn't
good
sure you
story. I
remembered
don't
me.
know how they came up with it,
Your book makes no mention.
but it was a great story, and I watched the season, but it's also heartbreaking because it's us, and like you still got your Caucasian, it was a Caucasian vampire that turned them, of course, but it puts you in the mood. What happens with us when we get in contact with that? Because we forget that we come from those that swear they hold it in now. So he was raised Catholic. So you already know where I'm going with it. They think it's devil worship. But you know the worst part about that? The reason why they really treated him like that because he lost his brother. His brother committed suicide, but they try to make him seem like that his brother was crazy. But you know how we talk about these religious hypocrites. His brother was so Catholic that he could see everybody else was being a hypocrite. How can we go into heaven and the money y'all get is off of prostitution? He did you see what I'm saying? It was really exposing our hypocrisy too though. And see, I was telling people this, and they're like, "No." I was like, "Look, I'm from a black family. What happened to Louis? That's not going. You not gonna be able to just pull it off. Mama know when her son changed. They knew
Mm-hmm.
what time it. They knew what time it was. And see, but at the same time, his maker told him. He said, "You need to leave your family alone before that happens." He said, because they gonna find out eventually that you not the same. He said, look, man, we don't age no more. 10, 20 years from now, you gonna look the same. Your sister, your little sister gonna look like your big sister. And that's what happened. And he was trying to tell his sister, like, it's still me, Grace. And she was like, nah, I had to bury you. This is how it gotta be for me and my family. You understand? She went to Boston. It was real heartbreaking too because this is the coldest thing. He did drop down and cry because he realized he ain't got nothing left else until he earns himself a daughter.
Mm.
And it's really a beautiful story because it's like what a black man went through in the 1910s. It's in the early 1900s instead of like the 1700s how they based the movie off of. They base it off of the 1900s behind the Jim Crow law, and his family is Creole. So they still trying to think they the bourgeoisies, but now the whites like, and the white dude saying that he said, "Look at this titty as Negro, still trying to cling on to his Creole heritage." And it's a real deep story, and it's putting us in the position like, what would happen if we earned that gift? And
Mm.
so and so how the brother looking at it, he don't want to kill like that. He know he got so he no blood, but it's making him weaker. So he could barely hold a book. So he been trying to withhold back from that. He wants to be still indulged with humans. And he's still not understanding yet that look, man, you didn't crossed over to another path. You died. You're not one of them anymore. They are really food. But he doesn't he almost attacked his nephew. He almost ate his nephew. But he had enough restraint and he didn't drop the baby on the floor, but he wasn't really trying to, but he had to hurry to get up out of it before he ate that child. And he knew then. He was crying. He was like, he said, am I never gonna get a control of this? He said, you're not understanding. You're not human anymore. You are an apex predator. You're like, they will call it animals. Somebody, a human, will look at it as an animalistic, but you're on a demigod level. And you got to understand that your vibration with the humans is not gonna go what you think it's gonna go. People ask me this, they like, hey man, how come you only do your interviews at night? I'm like, man, cause I go to work. Look, you better chill out. I told somebody that. I was like, oh, hey, look, I be working through the day. It's a difference with me. They said, nah, man, cause you always got a video interview at the nighttime. Cause we be wondering. I was like, man, look, I could have sworn I got a video of me in the daylight on my Instagram. But I didn't. I'm telling you, ever since I came out with the videos with Crumb, people didn't. You would be amazed. You'll be amazed.
I'm not
And so what it
amazed. I'm
was back
surprised
to
there's
it,
not enough more people trying to get at you.
well, hold on. I didn't mean that in the good way. I meant that in the evil way. Some people
You
I've
know
been
what?
called
The nocturnal thing, I get it. Creative minds create from darkness comes light though, correct?
correct, correct.
Okay, so if you nocturnal and this is the time when you can bring this information forth, plant a seed in the darkness and it shall grow toward the light.
Thank you. Somebody always, even when I'm doing independent comic book work, oh, I remember this. And while we were talking about comic books, I know we're still talking about that. And I never wanted to lose sight. And I'm gonna tie in something with that video clip I just showed you. It was a guy who went by the name Black Comic Lords. And he posted a video of Dr. Umar Johnson talking about Miles Morales Spider-Man. And all I was saying was I felt like Dr. Umar was a hypocrite. If you're sitting here telling us support black businesses, support your school, support nothing but black, why are we talking about a black superhero that we don't own? it, and that was my issue. I was like, look, we don't have to look at their superheroes no more. I was naming other black superheroes that ain't tied to Marvel or DC that are owned by black creators. Isom by Eric D. July. He beat the comic book record. I want to say if it wasn't last year, it was the year before that. He sold the most comics. He got DC and Marvel talking down on him. And see, don't nobody want to bring this brother up because They don't want this y'all to see that Marvel and DC writers, they talk ish about this man. He's from Dallas, Texas too. Go by the name of Eric D. July Ripperverse. He created the comic character Ice On. So a lot of people be giving him flag, be giving them flag that's with those, what you would call them name brands. So I was talking to a brother, and I thought I could get a brother to understand that, like, yo, look, we don't have to look at their comics, man. We're creating comics over here. And I was like, you got these other guys. Now my comic book isn't out, but I was naming other guys that he could check out. Instead of him saying anything about that, this man said, all I see on your page is a bunch of AI pictures. And I was laughing, and I was like, dang, I used to design toys. I do got some comic book work. And I was like, dang, bro, like you couldn't even understand. I was really trying to uplift. Like, why are we talking? I said, now I get it. So I like this comment. I'm that type of person. I like the comment, and I said, funny. I could have sworn that I was an action figure designer before I was talking about comics, and the AI pictures are just fan art. I say you only look at half of what people see. So instead of keep going rambling, man, I just deleted that man because that's an Uncle Tom type of person that he'll talk about the first black superhero, but he's not gonna put up self-made black superheroes on them pages. He's still gonna put up Marvel and DC what they gave us.
Of
And
which
so I
they're
caught
taking
on.
them
I was
away
like,
now.
and he's not the only one. It was a couple of females, and one female said she wanted to see a Storm comic book solo, and I told her my best advice: write Marvel or do your own comic or create your own comic book, The Storm. You know what she told me? I don't need your advice. And I sit there and I laughed and I put a like on her comment and I said, okay, I'm gonna stay this because you seem to already get lost. If you want Marvel to hear you out, you got to write them. So I try to do it that way. That way I try to kill them with kindness. Instead of me able to reply back, she sent me a message that I couldn't reply back to. And I caught on in. You just what they call them a fan base. You don't care about comics like that. You just still picking and choosing what they want. You still waiting on them. You don't care about nobody building out here and nothing like that. Until I guess we got to make film. So that's why I've been working on more of the 3D animation. So some people are like, when the comic coming out? I'm juggling. So right now I got a fight video coming out with Juma fighting the government, and then I'm working on that Superman versus Juma, and then I got a Storm versus Lamia fight. But video clip we just watched. In my comics, if you remember, vampires didn't have a reflection. Well, in my comics, they got a reflection, it just ain't human. So Juma gets put to the test by his own family. On his mother's side, he had more siblings. And so Abe and Juma, they're now looked at as outcasts or monsters because of what they came. And they tested Juma because they started to notice they only saw Juma at night. But Lamia, his new wife, was warning him, telling him, stay away from your family. They gonna find out. And he like, man, trying, how men be trying to ignore things, to try to think we know everything. Man, just hush up. Don't even know when he walked in, they had a reflection, a mirror, and it was showing his demon side. And some of them had kids, and some of his own little brothers. They aimed their shotguns at him and their rifles at him, tell him get the f out. You ain't one of us. You a demon. And so that was the main thing that I wanted to show people that like there's a lot of this going. I guess I got to hit pause. Can you hear me? I need
I
you to say something if I can hear you.
can you hear me?
I can't hear you. So
Okay.
oh, the routine, the drill. I got to come back because I can't hear you.
All right. So he'll be right back with us. I hope everybody's enjoying this. We have been going for a couple hours now, but it's such an interesting uh, not story, but way of growth for our people. It just to see this comic come into fruition, the images and the 3D images. He's got where, let's see. I saw the images on his on the Instagram of the toys, you know what I'm saying? Like he's doing multiple, and he's not new at this. That's what uh, anybody may be thinking. This is not new for him. This has been going on for a while now. Um, like you said, he's juggling, doing the multiple, and now getting back into the 3D characters, or actually making the action figures, because what action figures do we have other than the DC Marvel comics, and they're taking those away from us with the slander and uh, the whatever campaigns that are taking all of our people out of here, or our characters are the individuals that are in those positions that have held these hero roles for so long. You know what I'm saying? Uh, let me add this. There we go. This 3D character right here that he designed himself. You got to give him credit where credit is due. Like he said, he's juggling more than just doing the comic strip writing, or writing the act, everything that's going into it, and then he's also doing the characters, designing and drawing the characters, and then now bringing the 3D characters to life. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot for one individual to do. We got to support people. These other corporations and entities have gotten all the support that we can possibly give them. We done gave them everything, okay, Black Panther, and uh, 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 he's no longer with us. Spawn, of course, those characters are no longer with us. Anybody remember Blank Man? That's been a long time ago as well. These are all organic, melanated heroes that are no longer with us. So where are all of my where are the other artists at? Where are the other writers at? Can we get a collaboration where you all can come together and bring forth this, and we support you all, we support each other, youth writers and youth artists. I know there are a couple of them here in the Detroit area. Nick Croft is one who's been who's shown his work at the African American History Museum down here. So anybody that knows him, or may be able to reach out to him, give him a shout out. Hey, contact me so I can put you in communication with Juma. Who else? There's some more artists that may not want to be named. I should not have named Nick, but I'm just glad that everybody could join us this evening. We have been going for a while, and due to the technical difficulties, we're going to get ready to go ahead and shut this on down. I appreciate everyone that has joined me. Thank you for stopping by and spending all this time. Like, share, subscribe, support the youth, the elders, community matters. Thank you again. Have a grand evening. Peace, love, light, and laughter. Thank you for watching our videos. Support who supports you, and check out some of our supporters. Definitely like, share, subscribe, and have a great day.